What's up, everybody? It's your boy Durrel.
And it's your boy TG.
And now we have a very special episode for you guys today. Shout out to all the listeners. Thanks you guys for tuning in. Today we have probably the youngest agent in the world with us today. Zac, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Hey guys.
The floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi guys. My name's Zac Benalloul. I run Benalloul Sports Management, and I'm 16.
Amazing. How does someone so young get into being now, Zac, just correct us if I'm wrong. Is it you strictly basketball agent or sports agent in general?
Really, mostly basketball. That's really the sport that we went after because that's what I'm into.
Okay, so do you play at all?
Yeah, I do play myself. Yeah.
So when did you find the realization that you want to pursue the business aspect of basketball than the actual game itself?
Well, it's always something I've been interested in, like front offices and stuff like that. So from being, interested in that, that's kind of what got me interested in being an agent and starting so young.
Growing up, I've always wanted to be the guy that gets in the NBA, right? So I've never thought of being the guy that's behind the scenes, as an agent. Yeah. So as a cat that's only 16 and your mind frame is already there, man, I give you all the props.
Thank you.
100%, man, 100%. That's what really, impressed me a lot, man, was like, wow, 16 years old. Hell, when I was 16, man, I can't even remember what the hell I was doing and thinking about,
Seriously.
Yeah, man, for sure. But Zac, with that in mind, I definitely had a question too, was given your age and everything, when did you know it, man? Like, how did you know so quick at such a young age you wanted to do something like this and not pursue, let's just say a college degree and pursue a 9-to-5 life?
Well, this is like always what I had my mind set out on doing. I knew I wanted to do this. So, getting in with that and finding the right people to work with me and getting the, joint venturing agreements with 1010 Sports and Entertainment, bringing in those people to work with me, having, staff members from trainers to lifestyle consultants to automobile services to barbers to just guys that recruit. And having that is really what gave me the platform to fully commit. And I'm still in school now. I'm still in 10th grade, but I always knew this is what I was set out to do. And bringing in a staff member, our first staff member, Stephen Jones, that really is what boosted up the management and brought it to it's time to get down and commit on it.
Wow, that's amazing, brother, especially at such a young age and you already have like that drive and you had your vision in place. So with that being said, right now your heart is with basketball, right? So do you think you're going to start venturing out to other sports or are you simply just around the game of basketball?
It's definitely, it's a question that gets asked a lot. And I think we'll do it once we're, established in the basketball world because of how fast we're moving, because we have, over 5 former NBA guys in the last few months to commit with us already. We think that this is what's going to be the backbone of our business. And then after we're established, then we go at football. Then we go at baseball. Then we go at, all these different things. But right now we're really set out on basketball.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's awesome, man. So you mentioned too, brother, that you had like a lot of, you're basically doing mega networking, right? Into all the different, industries and stuff like that. So how did that get started, man? Do you know people already? Did you have a family background in it? Like, or did you just literally pick up the phone, pick up Instagram, start reaching out?
Really from social media. We're all self-made from there. If it weren't for our social media page, we'd be nobody. You know what I mean? We'd be at the bottom right now. But that's really what our platform was to build us up. Having that and showing other people what we were about is really, really what brought us up.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing that you say that because we live by that also, right? Especially with social media, you pretty much have the grounds of free marketing.
Yeah.
Right? You have grounds for free marketing, grounds to network people that you will never, ever network in a million years if you never had that platform to establish yourself in the first place. And also on top of that, you said you had past NBA players reaching out to you. So I was on you guys' Instagram page. I saw you guys signed Glenn Big Baby Davis.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Well, actually, this guy I knew outside. His name is Trevor Simon. He pretty much does all front office services for the St. John's Edge team in Canada, which is the last team that Glenn played for professionally besides the Big Three.
Yeah, I remember him playing over here, yeah.
I'm very, very closely connected with that team. And he connected me to Glenn and told me that Glenn's last agent was actually also really young. It was technically the second youngest now agent in the I think he's 19 or 20 now, but he was 17 when he started. So he used to be with him. And actually, when I spoke to Glenn had no idea who the kid was. And then when I told him, he was like, okay, this is something new. I'm interested. That's how I got connected to Glenn.
Wow. That is dope, man. That's actually super cool, man. For sure. So, like, I guess just for my ignorance too, man, because I don't really know much about the industry, like what exactly you do. So for the listeners out there, man, like what exactly is it that, a basketball agent does? Like, let's say I was a pro athlete, right? Or looking to go pro. What could you do for us, man? Like, I guess kind of give the world a shot at what that looks like.
Yeah. Well, finding the teams overseas and, NBA G League and NBA, finding those teams that the players could play for, obviously, depending on skill level. That's really what we do and get them jobs in those vicinities. I do some overseas work myself as well, as my agent usually takes the higher level guys and takes them with him. But I do some overseas work too. And finding the teams, finding the openings, finding marketing jobs for players, things that are bringing in revenue along with the basketball side of things, of getting them jobs, playing at the highest level they possibly can.
That's cool, man.
It's amazing that you say that because each player has a different skill and one player's skill level might be a little bit higher than another. So how do you motivate those players now to stay up and to make sure that they're game ready and also that they are able to overcome any circumstance or any tribulations that comes their way? So how do you keep them motivated, or even how do you keep yourself motivated so you can keep these guys motivated?
Well, I mean, really, for myself, I have a lot of people that want to join the management that reach out to me on Facebook, reach out to me on Instagram, and I just have those guys set out and ready for the lower tier guys in our management, really having them training and being that most of them are young, the lower tier guys, they're always, motivated and supportive of the management. No matter what direction the higher and the middle tier are going, they always, stay with the management because it's what they know. And we develop the guys that are lower tier, training them constantly, making sure they're working on their game and just doing everything possible they can to, stay ready and to represent our management wherever they're playing.
So with that being said, transparency is key. So in terms of you being very transparent to your guys, how transparent are you?
Very. You know what I mean? I communicate with my players so often because building a relationship is a very big thing for our management in this business. A lot of managements lack that, where they only talk to the players if they want something. I truly build relationships with all of our players, all of our guys, whether it's, a lower tier guy, a higher tier guy, whatever. I always build relationships, and people are losing that now. Nowadays, other agents are just looking to put money in their pocket, and having actual conversation and looking at the whole situation and speaking to people, because the more you speak to people, the more it can help you.
That's amazing, man. Like, I'm definitely in awe for sure. And the crazy thing is, Zac, man, like, you sound so much more mature for your age, man. I don't mean that in like a negative way, man. It feels like we're talking to somebody closer to mine and Durrel's age. You're definitely wise and beyond your age for sure, man.
Definitely.
And then another thing too, man, like, I would love to know, kind of outside of the agency, man, like, who is some of the business people you look up to, man? Like, do you have like people you look up to, like whether it's other agents?
What people I look up to? Well, mentality wise, stuff like that. People in the basketball business like Pat Riley, that's somebody I look up to because of how much he's, devoted to the game and what he does like for organizations and what you've seen he's done in the past. This may not be basketball, but like guys like Drake, Kanye West, like guys like that kind of inspire me.
Guys that go after what they want.
Yeah, because people, and this is the issue with what's happening in at least my generation, is people think too simply. People are thinking 6 figures, I'm thinking 7, I'm thinking 8. You know what I mean? You got to go high. People are thinking, let me buy a boat, I'm thinking, let me buy a yacht. That is the mentality you want to have. No matter if it's true or not, that's the mentality that wins in this day and age.
Wow, you're definitely wise beyond your age, man. So in terms of this mentality, how were you able to formulate this mentality at such a young age?
Really, people doubting and people saying, because I know another agent and I actually used to look up to him, and he told me that there's, I should learn for 4 to 5 years and then start my own agency. From that, at the beginning, he said, you guys are signing bums, this and that. And now I'm probably, if we're not better than them, we're at least their biggest competition.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because we're snagging their players now. he's not going to know what to say because he's not going to be able to reach out to me anymore. Once he's like, wow, look at what you've built. Well, those 4 to 5 years, those are just time and money, that just went away, because that's the issue about this business is people are very mean.
Stagnant. Yeah.
And, it's almost in every business. It's very grimy. People are telling you one thing, but it really means the other. And having Dean and Byron as my certified agents is really what's good, because I have trust in them and I know that they're not going to, screw me over or anything like that, because of the relationship we've built and because they believe in me. And that's really what's great about having them.
It's amazing that you said that. So in terms of your relationship with Dean and Byron, do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, we're really, close on everything besides, business, just talking in general.
Okay.
Getting to know each other on a personal level. Because I also work with Dean's management as well, 1010 Sports and Entertainment, and I get them some players. You know what I mean? I recruited them. I recruited them 4 guys for this year's NBA draft. So,
wow.
I bring stuff for them to the table, and in return, they're, the certified agents in our management.
That's awesome, man. That's actually amazing. So, like, even with school, I guess COVID's going on, right? So obviously you're not in school, right? But like,
there is online.
You've been doing. So how do you, I guess, balance the two, man? Because like you're still in high school, man. Like, what's it like balancing the two?
Really, it's all about time management. It's, late nights, waking up early, just getting stuff done in the right order and being productive is really, what helps me. And, just pushing things through so I get everything done. That's really the way I balance it. It's a hard balance, definitely, for sure. But you gotta just deal with it at the end of the day. It's nothing I can. And that's why we're planning on doing an early graduation type thing. Because Dean also has an entertainment part of his company, and they said that they would like to do some things for me for the coming years.
Wow.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, for sure. Now that'd be great too. So with that in mind, I mean, obviously I know you're a young entrepreneur, man, which is amazing. Are you pursuing college afterwards, or just no need for it?
Well, what we're thinking is with that, blowing up my story and doing all that, is going to a big college and, recruiting guys from there. That's ideal, because if colleges see this story, they'll definitely want to have a guy like me at the college with what I bring.
Absolutely, man, for sure. Do you have any, like, what universities you got in mind, man? Any of them like you could dream want to go to?
Probably Duke, because that'd be the best place to, recruit guys.
So, like you said, you mentioned you also want to be in the college front, right? Guys like Rich Paul, for example, he has been battling for NCAA players to receive some kind of compensation for them playing. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think there definitely should be payment to some extent for the top guys, because obviously not everybody could be paid.
Definitely.
But I think for the top guys, like Zion last year, probably should have got something.
Especially him risking his health.
Yeah. Because that's a big risk now of dealing with college is, you could have been, and that's the thing about the G League now is if you saw Jalen Green the other day, he just signed a $500,000 deal to go to the G League, and he's skipping college completely.
Wow.
And then he'll be in the NBA next year. But, having options like those, I think there should be some type of payment, whether on what the schools could do, because the schools have the money to do it.
Oh, definitely. Just NCAA March Madness itself generates yearly, right?
Yeah.
You even have guys like, I'm not sure if you're particular with this player, Darius Bazley or Basley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he completely skipped the NCAA level to do a 1 year, I think was a New Balance internship.
Yeah.
Right? So you have guys finding different ways now to make it to the NBA. So now in terms of your players that you have under you right now, do you have, like you said, it all depends on the player itself. So what structure do you have for them in terms of the routes that they want to take to make it professional?
Well, for our college guys, we usually, have them training, have them staying in shape, and have them doing the best at the NBA Combine. That's really what we give them is preparing them up for that and, making sure they're ready for, to be seen in front of teams. That's really what we do.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Kind of throwing them out in the forefront, right? That's pretty dope. What's it like too, man? Because you mentioned earlier too, just talking about like just how kind of sleazy the industry can be sometimes for some of the other competitor agents. So with that in mind, man, I'd love to hear kind of how you navigate that, man. Like, how do you get over some of the competition, especially at such a young age? I imagine sometimes being your age, would you find it's a bit of it's a challenge, right?
Well, I honestly, if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't work with people who don't want to work with me because of my age. You know what I mean? I have my guys now to where I can reject guys. I don't need anybody to tell me off anymore because I have the guys to support what we're doing. And with that, having those guys really, are the backbone of our management. And that just goes to show like what we have and what we're about. Being that my age, I am so young, and going to guys that are with other managements, I tell them we're only going to take the best deals. Over the past 3 months, we've had, 50 offers and we've only taken 6 of them because the 6 were great offers. They forwarded the players' careers and they, were all the right situations. So if you have a management that's going to do that and combat deals just to make sure you're getting the right treatment for your career, that's who you should want to work with. You shouldn't want to work with anybody just because they manage this, that, and that. You know what I mean? It's really not about that. It's about what's going to be best for you.
I love it, man. That's amazing. Such a high-level answer, man, because basically it's not a challenge because you're not competing with anybody. It's just you guys. It's what you guys do, and whether you want to work with us or you don't, if it's good for our players, then it's good for our players. If not, so basically, man, you don't have a competition. Dude, Zac, that's amazing, man.
Yeah. I mean, really, we're here to be the best. We're not here to be the next Clutch Sports. We're not here to be the next Excel. We're not here to be the best, we're not here to be the next Wasserman. We're here to be the next Benalloul. We're going to be, that question of the next 2 to 5 years. We're going to cement ourselves as the best management in the nation. That's what we believe.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. Yeah, that's fire. Because I was thinking about that whenever we were chatting. I was like, man, I wonder, how do you navigate that, right? Because I remember when even me, I got into the financial services industry, as a financial advisor, extremely young. I started doing that when I was about 18 years old. So I definitely found, a little bit of kind of, I don't want to say backlash, but definitely some of the old, when I go see some clients that are, say 50, 65 years old, they'd be like, I've been, working longer than you've been alive. Like, what do you know, right? But you're right, though, man. The way I was able to navigate that was literally my knowledge, my tenacity. And then as soon as I was, pretty much starting to push it.
I'm not scared of anybody. I go after everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The worst thing a player can tell me is no.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And that was kind of my thing, too. I was just a bulldog, right? I'll just keep moving. You know what? Like you said, you want to work with me? Great. If you don't, then on to the next one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. That's really dope. Yeah, man. With that in mind, too, it's intriguing, man. It's a very intriguing conversation we're having because, I don't really know much about the business side of basketball, man, as far as, how contracts are, written out. But I was curious, though, because I imagine you would know. I was reading an article the other day, and obviously, due to COVID or whatever, right? Some players are going to pretty much lose on compensation, right?
Yeah.
And I was reading an article that pretty much the only ones that aren't are Rich Paul's players, man.
It's funny they did mention that because I was just about to bring that up. There are about 9 players right now that are being compensated, and all of them are signed under Rich Paul.
Well, really, if I'm going to be honest with you, what it is it's special treatment for LeBron. Because LeBron is under that, and because LeBron is the face of the NBA, they're not going to take their money.
Wow. So it's definitely not like some kind of contractual thing. It's literally just, because LeBron is kind of like King LeBron per se for the NBA.
That's what I think. I mean, I don't see another reason. What are they going to say to justify it?
That does make sense. He's one of the greatest players of all time, right? And also the NBA right now is on a landscape building the future for when LeBron leaves, right? So to keep LeBron happy and to keep the revenue of the NBA as what it is now.
But I don't think it's the right way.
Definitely not.
I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either, man, for sure. Just kind of piggybacking too, because I'd love to get your insight as far as like college players too, because I think they should be paid too, man. Like Zion and some of these guys that were literally, man, bringing so much revenue. Just competitive wise, man, do you think it'll make the NCAA more competitive by paying some of these superstar guys? Do you think it'll taint the game? Like, what do you think?
Personally, I think right now, especially from the outside looking in, let's say they're paying them, let's say $50K for the entire season, right? That's not really a substantial amount of money, but at the end of the day, if another player who's not receiving anything sees the star player getting all that amount of money, his production or his productivity might drop because now he's feeling that his value is not the same as the next one. If you really think about it, most of the players that get drafted in the NBA in terms of the lottery picks, maybe 2 out of 10 of those players become all-stars.
Definitely, man. What do you think, Zac, man? What's your input on it, man?
Well, I think the payment would obviously be hard, but I think there should be payment to some extent I mean, I know that it sounds like it would, but players don't want to have bad college stats, especially if they do want to play professionally. Because if they know what they're worth, they'll have the mindset to go out and get at it. And it doesn't really matter. I do really think that having payment could help players feel some security.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Have you heard stories about players leaving their families, like going to a completely different state, and they can't really support their family, right? Because let's say it's a single mom raising her son, right? And that son has been doing everything for her for his entirety of his life. And then all of a sudden, he has to go off to college, and her annual income is not enough to sustain her living expenses, right? So I think the little revenue that the NCAA would give back to the players, I think every player should receive some kind of compensation, right? Not just the elite players. Pay scales should be different. Yes, just like it is in the NBA. I believe so.
I mean, I think that is definitely hard to do and pay everybody, because then, it would just make the NCAA a whole different situation. It would really change it.
Make it like the NBA.
Sort of, yeah. Because I just don't see that happening with every single player. Because not every player, let's say you don't average any points. Let's say you're not playing. I don't think you should get paid just to sit on the bench.
Yeah, I agree with that, man, for sure. And I was thinking about it too just now. And I bet you the NBA probably wouldn't want that either, because then it might even taint some guys wanting to go play in the league, right?
Yeah.
Because I think part of the allure of, becoming an NCAA superstar basketball player is because they know they can go to the NBA and potentially become, a mega superstar as well. And obviously, they'll make a shit ton of money, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely crazy. I think it's a hell of a debate, because I know, some players, like I said, definitely would wish they would get something, because some of them are the face of the NCAA for the years that they're there. And then, they don't get shit for it. And then they go into the NBA and a freak injury can happen. Now they have nothing, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because they spend all these years, man. We're talking 20 plus years of their life from when they're really little kids playing, AAU basketball. Literally their whole life is what they dedicate to. And it's sad to see when a guy's career goes out early from a freak injury, right? So that's kind of why I look at it like, man, sometimes they should get something. Then the other side of it too is like, man, there's so many moving parts, man. Is that probably, obviously, I think why it hasn't happened. And who knows if it ever will happen, right?
Yeah.
It's hella crazy, man, for sure. But I was curious too, Zach. So as far as I go back into like kind of the business of everything, because I know Big Baby Davis is obviously, he's retired, right? So what exactly does, somebody like yourself, like an agency, what do you guys do for a post-career?
Well, he's not retired. We're going to have him play overseas, whether it's Europe or, Asia, just playing professionally there, because we feel he can play a year, maybe two, and get some, solid coin out of him, because we believe that he can, still get some money for himself with what's going on with him.
Would you definitely say like there's a shit ton of opportunity like for players playing overseas, man? Like almost like, do you think more players maybe should look at?
Yeah, playing overseas is not a bad thing depending on the league you're playing in, because there's leagues that pay, $700,000 to $2 million a month overseas.
Kevin Durrell came out about, I think it was a year or two ago, saying that he would want to end his career playing for Barcelona, right? Well, that's overseas.
Yeah.
And that's an experience most NBA players wish they have. For instance, look at Kobe Bryant. He grew up in Italy. Yeah. Most of the time, there's a stigma of international players being more fundamentally sound and being more skilled than North American players. So in terms of that, what do you think about that? Do you think that's truth or is it a myth? Do you think North American players are just as fundamentally sound, or is it vice versa?
Well, I think that everybody at the end of the day wants to play in the NBA, because that's the place to play. There's just no debate about that. But playing overseas is a great thing. Like, it could be way better to make. You can make so much more money overseas than playing in the NBA developmental league.
But is that like a strategy for you guys? Get a guy overseas, get him paid really well, and then eventually get him to the NBA?
Well, it depends. It depends on the player. It depends where we want their career to go. Whatever's best for the player's interest. That's usually the move we make.
So, talking about the players' interest, right? So you have players now that are making bold statements and bold moves with withdrawing themselves from being a second-round pick, right? So like guys like Fred VanVleet and also guys like the Davis kid on the Toronto Raptors. So both of those kids said, all right, I'd rather go through the wire than get drafted as a second-rounder, which means that you're not going to have a fully guaranteed contract, right? So these guys are pulling their careers now in their hands, saying that I'm going to find my path and have full control of my income and my future. So now, how do you, for your players now that might have missed their opportunity for getting drafted in the first round, how do you let them know, or how do you agree with them if them passing up being drafted in the second round is the best thing to do?
Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah, so let's say Fred VanVleet for a second.
Yeah,
so
he went undrafted.
So he went undrafted, but he would have been drafted second round. But he decided not to get drafted second round because he would have a two-way contract. Being drafted in the second round in the NBA, you don't get a guaranteed rookie contract. So now, how would you?
Well, he didn't get picked. He didn't decide not to get drafted.
I thought he pulled out.
Yeah, I thought he withdrew as well. He could have, but he decided not to because of the two-way contract and not being guaranteed, right? But let's just say, for like just perspective purposes, let's say you did have a player like that, Zach, though, that did want to say that, be like, hey, Zach, no, man, I'm not going to get drafted first round. I'd rather try to, play on my own or do whatever the case would be to get a contract. Would you say go for it, or would you say, no, man, if you have an opportunity to get drafted, you need to get drafted?
I would probably do whatever is in best interest for the player. So whatever my management and I and the family of the player and the player decide upon is really the move we'll make, because it's important to get all sides on what everybody's feeling, and that is really what'll determine what the move we will make would be. Depending on going undrafted, we probably wouldn't let that happen, because getting drafted is every player loves to get drafted. The two-way is obviously, it is somewhat of an issue, but it's dealable with. We would put pressure on the team and get that contract, because we wouldn't just let them do that to us.
So how do you navigate, man? Like, because obviously you say you got a player, and let's just say they're like, saying like, hey, Zach, I want to do this, and it's a bad idea. How's that conversation go, man? Like, how do you walk these guys some about these legends? Because you probably admit, like, I'm pretty sure some of these guys' ideas you're probably like, yo, that's probably not the best move. So how do you navigate that?
We usually, just talking it out with everybody, putting it all on the table and making the player see what he feels and what we feel is best for him, and kind of coming to a compromise on that and really having a solid idea. That's really what we're all about.
Just talking about it, right? Kind of maybe meet in the middle type thing?
Yeah.
For sure, because I can only imagine. I bet some ideas are probably pretty crappy, right? Another thing, too, man, I'd love to get your perspective on, because obviously we hear about a lot of players, man, like, say, AI, and some of these guys that were mega superstars made a ton of money, but unfortunately don't have much showing for it at the end of their careers. So what does, somebody like yourself do to help these guys post-career, or like during their career? Do you kind of,
really, what we do is we have some people that work on the financial management side, because people actually, like financial advisors, reach out to me and they ask for the future. If you have guys who, want to have their money in place, or sometimes I or one of our organizational role staff look over like a SunTrust account, just making sure our players are spending everything correctly and having the money to maintain for the future.
You guys have like a vetting process for pretty much all of those guys that, kind of reach out to you guys? Because I imagine it could be like some sharks, right?
Yeah, giving the marketing opportunities and the off the court stuff as well is really what sets them up for the future, so they don't have issues like that.
100%, man. Because that's one thing too that I noticed, man, where it kind of makes me sad, because I'm like, man, some of these guys made so much money, and if they just had some guy to have a conversation with them, whether it's a financial advisor, somebody 10, 15 years before, how much better place they could be in. Even if they just stashed away, let's say a guy had a contract for $25 million, he literally put away $5 million, but then let that roll for 25 years, man, he'll be good to go,
Yeah.
And it's sad when I see that they don't have anything, because you're like, dude, you made $120 million in your 10, 15 year career, and unfortunately, don't have wealth amassed, right? It's something that I wish, because I understand it, man. Like me growing up, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon, didn't grow up in the greatest of areas. And a lot of athletes come from rough backgrounds, so they don't know shit about money. They don't know anything about contracts. They don't know anything about management, like nothing. So I think that's why a lot of times they get taken advantage of, signing bad deals. They don't put any money away, things like that.
Getting the wrong representation.
Exactly, man. That happens all the time.
Most of these players, they grew up from a very hard background, so them just being granted millions of dollars just like that is just mind-blowing, So like the first thing that most players do once they get that first check is get everything that they've ever wanted in their life. First of all, spending money is a high, right? So once you start getting that high, it becomes an addiction, right? So most people, I'm not even going to say players because it's part of the human nature. We all love doing things that make us happy. But like when you have it in abundance, then it starts piling up, right?
Where do you guys come in with, trying to prevent that for a player?
We talk it out and have some of our staff members step in on that end. And, usually depending on the players, we have the ones like that speak out with us because we have to usually have an idea of what's going on with them to, help them on that side.
Just kind of staying in that advisory role, I guess?
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool, man, the fact that you can be there to kind of see what they're doing and just kind of try to help guide them in the right place. Because obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the better they do, the better you do as the agent, correct?
Yeah.
Because it's like a percentage of whatever contract you get them.
Yeah, the better it looks on the management with that, for sure.
So basically, the more money you can help them make, the more money you guys make in turn, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing, man, for sure. Another question, too, I had for you, man, I think would be pretty cool to kind of hear your mentality on those nights, man, where, tell me if I'm wrong, man, but obviously 16-year-olds are young, typically your age, you want to go out, play some video games, pretty much that normal 16-year-old life. What motivates you to kind of push through that? Because, you probably don't have as much time as the normal 16-year-old, right?
Oh, definitely not. No.
So what's the mentality, man? Like, how do you just be like, sorry, buddy, I can't play Fortnite tonight or fucking Call of Duty, whatever, man? Like, how do you put through all that?
I just have that in me because I'm committed. And being that committed is what, puts me on a different mindset than any of these other people. Because I still go out and I still, party with people and all that. But
just having the dedication.
I have time to do that whenever it's appropriate. So instead of going out 4 times a month, I go out twice or once. Just limiting and really focusing down and buckling down on the management is really what we have.
It's a hell of focus, man, for sure. Most people your age don't have that kind of focus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think if anything, I think focus in our day and age, just that we're so connected with social media and it's such a 3-second world that we live in. I think because you're able to focus in, man, I think you're gonna be all right, bro. You're gonna cash in big.
Having the mentality I have, nobody really has the mental strength to think like this and being so mentally strong. That's what puts me on a different level.
Definitely, man. Especially at your age, having that mindset just to go get what you want, being dedicated and being committed to what you really want. That's definitely one of a kind.
100%, man. It's pretty amazing because, and obviously me and Durrel are millennials, right? And you guys are the generation right after us, man. We notice, as millennials, that the generation after us, man, it's a lot softer generation, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't come across like that at all, man, which is pretty amazing. Props, brother, like props. I'm very excited for you, man, your future. But with that too, speaking of future, so as far as one of our last questions we had, man, like where do you see the business in 2 to 5 years, man? Where do you see yourself? What's that look like?
As I said before, I think we're going to surprise a lot of people as we already started to lightly doing. I think we're going to put ourselves on the map and be top 7 management in the next 2. And then in the next 5, I think we're going to be top 3.
That is amazing, man. And what's it take to get there, man? Is it just signing more players, getting into more sports? Like, what's that take?
Having the drive and recruiting correctly and finding the right people to be with, that's what is going to really get us in. Doing stuff like helping with gaming tournaments and doing stuff like that off the court. Just expanding our name, expanding my name, just promoting myself is really what's going to bring us up.
Wow. Yeah, so in terms of the court activities that you guys host, do you guys have your own charity events or anything like that?
Not yet, but we usually contribute to other companies and stuff like that. We work with other brands and stuff like that to market our players and show the brand creation of what we have.
Definitely, brother.
Also, you're talking about you guys will be launching a couple of articles or something like that. So I just want you to elaborate just on the articles for the listeners.
Yeah, Clutch Points and PT Sports are going to be making articles on me. So that'll be real cool. That should come out at the end of this week or the end of next week. So all of those coming out will definitely bring us some exposure and move us up. And having, a lot of people that doubt me or a lot of people that didn't like me in the past or, stuff like that is what makes me even more motivated to keep pushing the management and, make history. Because, I'm building a little fan base for what it is already. And having that, pushing that against the haters I have already and haters against the management is what's going to push us and really make us and turn us into something.
Definitely. Like you said before, man, you got to use the fumes of your haters to fuel your jet.
Exactly.
I forgot to ask you too, man, where are you from? Where's home?
I'm from New York, but our business is located in California.
Okay, nice, man. Where in New York are you from?
Manhattan, New York City.
Nice, man. Big city for sure. I got family out there too, man. And then obviously me and Durrell out here kicking it in Toronto, right? Just kind of wrap it up, man. We kind of have our thing that we do with every guest. I did forget to email you those questions, man, but you're a sharp kid, man. I imagine you can think on your feet pretty quick. We do something called our TDP3, which is basically, 3 questions we ask every guest. And the reason is we kind of want to see, what is it that you like, music-wise, book-wise, and just kind of feel like it gives a snapshot of kind of somebody's personality a bit, right?
Yeah.
But definitely, man, we'll kind of start with question 1 is, basically what, one or, whether it's 3 albums, if you're a music head, can you listen to, top to bottom, no skipping tracks? And obviously, if you don't really do music, what movies can you watch over and over again, man? What are the 3 for Zac?
Albums, gotta be The Life of Pablo, number 1. Probably, this is tough. This is real tough. You guys got a good question here. Probably Care Package by Drake, number 2. For number 3, it's gotta be Trap Soul by Bryson Tiller.
Wow, that's an amazing album.
First person I've heard say Life of Pablo, man, because I know me and Durrell, I think it's a great album too, but me and Durrell are kind of a little bit more
Kanye,
older school.
Definitely. I'm one of the biggest Kanye heads you'll ever come across, man.
Yeah. I love you.
Definitely. Big fan of, I love Life of Pablo, man. I think it was fire, especially that one of the outro tracks he had with fucking Andre 3000 on it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man, great album for sure. You a bit of a reader?
I read some books when I get some time. I read a book by Mark Cuban called The Business of Sport. That's probably my favorite book right there. For other books, I read some books from Kramer. I used to be in the stock, so I read some books from Bill Kramer. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty much it for books.
Nice, man. Just those 2, for sure. So the last one, which is, obviously could be kind of, deep as you want it to be or whatever. But another question, man, is what's on your mind right now, man? When Zac wakes up in the morning, what's the first thing that's got your attention, man?
Just being happy with who I am, just waking up and being happy to work and being happy to just, build exposure and recruit. That's really what's on my mind in the morning. And then, getting through school. So I have all the time to do that.
It's amazing that you said that, man. I can tell that your personality and your mentality is pretty much molded by guys like Drake and Kanye, because those guys, every single day that they're up, they're thinking about ways on how they can be better and how they can take themselves, because each and every one of us, we're all businesses.
And what I love about them too is they're both, they're not here to be loved. They're just
be themselves.
Be
themselves. Definitely.
Yeah. And that's what I like. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to build the biggest management. I'm here to build an empire.
If you look at the most successful individuals in the world, right? Most people think they're crazy. It's not that they're crazy.
Most people dislike them because they're successful.
Right? So that's where the stigma comes from, right? They think because they're at a level that you can't reach, there's something wrong with them, or they must be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So definitely I can say I'm not a psychic or whatsoever, but I can definitely tell that your future is very fucking bright, man.
100%,
in terms of the articles, if you want to let the listeners know where they can get a hold of the articles when they are released.
It'll probably be all over my Instagram page, which is at Zac Benalloul, Benalloul.
And Zac is just ZAC, no K, right?
No K.
Definitely, sure. I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for those articles, brother, because I'm very interested just to learn a little bit more about you, right? Because a 16-year-old doing what you do right now to me right now doesn't make any sense, because me at age 16, I even know what I was doing. Right, I was probably at home, probably thinking about my next meal.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's amazing, man. You're definitely an older soul. I can definitely feel it, man, which is dope. And obviously, shoot us a DM on Instagram, man. Send us the links to the articles and everything you're doing, man. Like, we're definitely fans of you, and I appreciate you definitely reaching out to be on the show for sure, man.
Go ahead, bro. Before we do get you off the podcast today, Zac, is there anything you want to let the younger listeners know, guys that are your age, younger, to have more of an entrepreneurial mindset from young?
Don't be afraid of what anybody tells you. Don't be afraid of people saying it's fake, and just don't be afraid of people in general. There's nothing to be scared of. The world's big. There's nice people that'll help you out there, and talking to everybody also can be very beneficial, because you don't know what people can offer.
Definitely, especially as kids growing up. I'm speaking for myself, from my experiences. Like, from kids growing up, we've always had this idea of adults being scary, so we tend to take the back seat, right? So, like I said about yourself, you're ahead of your years. You want to be on the driver's seat. You want to be on the driver's side, driving your vehicle to where you need to be. So that's why we're really excited that you came onto this podcast just to share your mental approach and your thoughts every morning that you wake up. Because most kids, that's not what's on their mind.
Yeah, that's sound advice, brother, for sure. Because I know a lot of people, man, really even grown folks, man, they're so afraid to talk to people. They're so afraid to even approach a high-profile person. Yeah, man, people are so scared. And you're right, man. Don't be scared. Fear is just in the mind, man. It ain't really real. It's as real as you want it to be.
As one of my players has his Instagram username, it's called No Room for the Weak. There's no room for the weak in this world, guys. Got to be strong.
Yeah, man. There's a quote out there that says the only real prison is fear. So once you hold yourself back because you're scared to approach anything in life, that's it.
Yeah.
Big time, man. Zac, this has been awesome, brother. And you know what, man? As you grow, definitely feel free to, jump on the show as much as you want. If you got a message you want to send out or whatever the case may be, man. Me and Durrel are fans,
I'll get you guys, some players for sure. Whatever you guys need.
Yeah, for sure, man. I was actually going to ask you, off air. But yeah, man, if you can, send some referrals away, that'd be amazing. We'd love to, chat with some players that you have, talk about their mind mentality. Because that's really what, the show's about, man. We want to dive into people's mentality. Not necessarily just what they do, but why they do what they do. What motivates them when they're, when others just want to spread that knowledge of that mental strength to the world, man. That third dimension, that's why we named the show what we named it, because and you said it, Zac, you said it earlier in the show, man. You said that most people look at it one way, but they don't ever look at the future or whatever the case may be. Me and Durrel say it all the time, man. People look at the first level, the second level, but they never look at that third side, that past what everybody else sees, So yeah, man, we really appreciate it. But with that, man, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Zac, I appreciate it 100%. And just one more time so the world can know, where can we find you? What's the best way to get to you, man?
At Benalloul Sports Management or at Zac Benalloul. Either one.
And that's on Instagram. You on Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah. Twitter's Benalloul Sports, and then Facebook is also Zac Benalloul for sure.
Perfect.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it, brother.
Yep. All right, brother Zac, it was a pleasure speaking with you today and also understanding your mindset and your approach to your craft.
Thank you guys for having me.
We wish you all the best.
Yeah.
Definitely keep us in mind because we're definitely going to be enjoying the growth that we're witnessing right now, right?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
100%, man. So with that, for the world out there, we appreciate everybody listening, all the downloads, appreciate all the follows. Yeah, all the love, man. But with that, TDP out, baby.